Hello everyone, my name is Isma from fxkampala, and in our video today we're going to look at the power of 3 ICT explained. So many of you have actually asked me to release a video that briefly explains smart money, especially we look at mainly the AMD, that is the accumulation, or what can be refined as the liquidity. Then we look at the manipulation, then we also look at distribution. So some people refer to it as AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So in our video today, we're going to look at how this comes out to be. Then we shall later on see what accumulation means, what manipulation means, and later on we look at how distribution means. Then we will not only stop from there, we will again look at how we can implement this into our trading, how someone defines this clearly in their trading such that they can use it to trade in the simplest way possible, because a couple of people are actually making this hard for us, for you there to understand and to learn the AMD in our trading. So first and foremost, let me go directly onto our sketch. As we get on here, let me just illustrate to you what AMD means, or the power of 3 means, and we can see how we can trade this. So most of the times as the markets are moving, let's assume if the market is moving downwards, let's assume it is moving like this, okay? Then it reach at a certain point whereby now we'll have to experience what we call as accumulation, or what we can call as our liquidity pool. Liquidity pool is when a trend actually gets into a range, okay? Into a range, and this range can clearly define liquidity, okay? The accumulation. Now, the accumulation, okay, or what we call liquidity, it's sometimes referred to as a liquidity pool. Now, when we identify this, then this becomes accumulation, which is now I'll call, or they call A, accumulation. Now, when you see such an accumulation or such a formation on your chart, as we're going to see, then the next thing that you need to see, you need to wait for what we call as a liquidity swipe, okay? A liquidity swap, okay? A move that will actually move from down opposite of the entire trend and surpasses this resistance that you do have, or this liquidity. Now, this section, we have referred to it as accumulation. Then after that, when this swipe or liquidity swap moves and breaks this liquidity here that we see, then eventually it comes down. So this move that we actually have here is what we refer to as manipulation, okay? This entire move here, this formation of this liquidity swipe, okay? For those that actually know the OTE, can basically understand this better in the best way possible. That's if you've been trading the smart money concepts. Now, that's ICT. Then the next move, it's this move that actually leads us to now the manipulation. Now, this manipulation along this particular point, this manipulation is actually a point where there is too much liquidity. So many people, so many traders, stop losses are hit at this particular point, just like the word you hear, manipulation, okay? So just like the way you hear, it's just to manipulate the buyers, okay, to think that, you know, this market has broken this particular liquidity, and you find that it eventually comes back, which of course makes them lose money at this particular point. So this particular section, we call it as manipulation, okay? So after the manipulation, now we have actually reached at the point whereby we need now to enter our trade, okay? So the most important thing in this video is to know where our entry point is going to be. Now, for this case, as you can see, our entry point is actually at this point where we had our previous liquidity, okay? Our previous liquidity. So let me name that clearly. So it's at this point that you actually look now to sell at this particular points, because now what is expected is that now the market is going to now clearly move in the, the actual move. It's now going to take the actual move, okay? Because the first one was accumulation followed by manipulation, and now the market now moves in the move which it actually has to take, which is the distribution. Now, the distribution starts at this point, or I would recommend an entry at this particular point for this market now to move. So most of the times as it moves, it doesn't also take directly. So when you enter here as you're selling, make sure at some point anywhere here, the market will still now turn back and later on continue with the entire trend as we can see. So don't give it, a very big take profit, okay, the distribution. Now, don't give it a very big take profit, okay? You would probably put a take profit somewhere here, because later on, this market is going to come back and then eventually continue with its prior trend, which eventually we can describe as entirely the distribution phase. The distribution phase. Now, when you master this, when you understand this, now this can clearly tell to us, can clearly define to us that now you have mastered the AMD, that is accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. So before the market decides, okay, a certain move, it will always first accumulate, liquidity. Okay, we'll always see a liquidity pool. Then after that, it fakes out, which we call manipulation. And later on, it makes a distribution move. Now, it's this distribution move we're actually concentrating at. That's why I defined my entry at that point where, which actually marks the end of manipulation. Then you can now decide to sell the market till where, you can come out of it. So let's go on to the chart and we see how we can observe such a formation. And in this very example, I'll be using the USD chef, and I'll be working with the 15 minutes time frame, because I'm particularly looking at, the London kill zone, the time before the London kill zone, which is usually the manipulation, rather the accumulation, the liquidity pool. Then as the London kill zone starts, then of course we experience a manipulation there. Then later on, the market decides on where to go when, of course, the London market entirely opens and starts trading. So let me wrap this as we probably proceed on to see how practically you can implement and have this installed onto your platform to trade with this. So this is my platform, and this is what we're going to be looking at, and we see the things that I've actually been talking about. We're going to look at and find the manipulation. We'll also find rather accumulation, the liquidity pool, accumulation, manipulation, and then the distribution that we have actually just been talking about. So when we come here, you realize that along this particular point is where we actually experienced the accumulation point. So it's at this point whereby we experienced manipulation. That particular point, that's where our accumulation is. Then the next point becomes the manipulation. The first one was accumulation. The next one was manipulation. So along this manipulation point is where we now expect that the market was, it was faking out, and we should have our entry at this particular point, because we mark this point as the beginning of the distribution, as you have been clearly seeing on our platform. So I come here and say, now I'll enter with this particular trade, and then put my stop loss slightly above there. Then I put my take profit with a risk reward ratio of 1 to 3. And of course, if you can clearly see that this market, started moving, not because of anything, but because of our AMD, which is the power of 3. So I believe this is something easy. I've made it as simple as possible for any person to understand this. So before the market decides to make any move, it always first do the AMD, and later on it actually takes that particular direction. So it will accumulate the liquidity. Then after that, it will now experience what we call as manipulation, and later the market will now move to that particular section. I've made it as simple as possible for anyone to understand, for those that actually found it hard. So at the end of this video, rather at the beginning of this video, I shared my contact in case you want to learn how to trade. You need signals, you need platforms, you have finding challenges here and there with the deposit and all that copy trading. Please don't hesitate to contact us with the contacts that we provided in the video. We'll be willing to help you. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Thank you.